Hello and welcome to Navigating with Key. My name is Kenneth Enoja Senime, Kea Key, and I'm your regular host on this program. Today, I bring to you another interesting topic for us to review, and today's topic is titled Poverty is a Mindset. I know you may have heard this before, but today we're just going to look at what it means when we say poverty is a mindset. All right, so if you're ready, let's jump into today's article. So, over the years, I've met and interacted with lots of people from different economic backgrounds, right? Some have plenty, some are managing, and some are, clearly struggling. But one thing I've observed from these experiences is that the presence or absence of money is not always the biggest factor that determines how people behave, right? Yeah, of course, money plays a role. It gives access to comfort, it gives you some opportunities, but it is not absolute. This observation led me to a conclusion. Poverty is not only about the absence of money, sometimes it is a mindset. So I came to that conclusion that poverty, indeed, yes, money is absent, money is not there, but there's a mindset that forms when someone believes in a certain way. All right, let's look at this. So, traditionally, poverty is defined as the inability to access basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing. But beyond that definition, there's often a pattern of thinking and behavior that can keep people trapped in a cycle of lack for a very, very long time. Let me give you an example of my own experience with people who have found themselves in this kind of situation. So, at one point in my life, while doing some Christian outreach work, I had the opportunity to visit different homes, some in posh areas, some in areas that many people would describe as low income, right? Where they will say, okay, these are where people who are struggling are living. Now, in several of those places, one common thing I noticed was the environment. Many homes were dark, poorly ventilated, and the surroundings were often not well kept. What I'm just trying to say is, in a nutshell, was that these places were really dirty, not tidy in any way. Refuse on the side, just generally unkept environment. Yet something else stood out to me. I came to discover that whatever little money was available to these people, it was spent trying to impress neighbors or prove that things are not as bad as they look, like my situation is better than yours. They would buy symbols of wealth to create an image instead of investing in things that would genuinely improve their situation. So a little money comes in, they go into the market and buy a fake Versace top and wear just to prove to the next person that they are living a better life. But one day, I visited a family that completely changed my perspective. In a long corridor of rooms with doors facing each other, something we call face me, I face you back home in Nigeria, one particular room stood out. It was the only room with a painted door. When I knocked and entered, I immediately noticed something different. The room was clean and bright, not dark and poorly ventilated like the others I'd visited, but in the same compound, right? In the same block. But this room was clean and was bright. The furniture was minimal, just a simple 6 by 6 bed at the far end and a small 24-inch television on one side and a table with 3 chairs where 2 children were quietly having dinner. The lady welcomed me warmly. She offered me a seat to sit down and then asked if I wanted a drink. That caught me off guard. But being a soldier, like we used to call us, like we call ourselves now, used to being a soldier on a mission, I wouldn't be eating, right? So I declined the drink. But I was in a house for 10 minutes. And for the 10 minutes that I sat there discussing my church's upcoming program, I completely forgot what the outside environment looked like, what it felt like when I walked in to that compound. It felt so peaceful in her house. You know, nothing in that room, nothing in that space reflected poverty, just except the fact that maybe the family didn't have much money at the time, right? But everything in that house, nothing, I repeat, nothing reflected poverty. As I walked away from the house, something became very clear to me. Lack of money does not automatically make someone poor in their thinking. It is something that you cultivate over time. At the same time, I've met people who have plenty of money, but still live with what I would call a poverty mindset. They may have beautiful houses, but the environment is untidy and neglected. They wear expensive designer clothes because, in truth, they can afford it, but constantly feel the need to announce the brand to everyone around, letting people know that, hey, I'm wearing this, I'm wearing that. Back home in Nigeria, some people would say, some people would call it pepe them, right? Yeah, we have people like that. Those kind of people are insecure. Though they have money, they're insecure. They compete unnecessarily. They measure their value through material display, what kind of car they are driving, what kind of clothes they're wearing, what kind of bag they're carrying. But right there is the poverty mindset. The poverty mindset can exist in both the rich and the poor. It shows up in entitlement, in always wanting to receive, but rarely wanting to give. Yeah. So poverty, I can dare say it's not necessarily the absence of money, or we say the poverty mindset. It's not caused necessarily by the absence of money. Poverty is in the mind. And there are some people who are like that emotionally as well. And they carry that poverty mindset, emotional poverty, into their relationships. Have you met people who believe the whole world revolves around them and they expect others to constantly validate their emotions and desires? Any situation that does not favor them becomes victimization. But in truth, life does not work that way. Instead of living from a place of lack, we should strive to live from a place of value and contribution. See yourself as someone who can give, not only financially, but through kindness, through your personal discipline, being responsible and respectful. Live your life from the inside out. I want to tell you this. It's nobody's responsibility to make you happy or help you feel fulfilled. It's absolutely nobody's responsibility. These are things you have to cultivate within yourself. It is your job to make yourself joyful. It is your job to bring happiness to yourself. I want you to think well of yourself. Do not live your life competing with others. Make the best of whatever situation you find yourself in. Take care of your environment. Carry yourself with dignity because at the end of the day, the absence of money does not make you less human. Only your mindset can do that. Don't have a poverty mindset. Think plenty. Think wealthy. Somebody once told me that imagination is free. Why think of yourself small when you don't have to pay money for your thoughts? Think big. Put yourself in the place of the giver. And you see, when you do this, you create a force field around you. And before long, you move from that situation. Don't be comfortable begging. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. But don't be comfortable begging always. Don't live your life. Don't beg your way through life. Don't. Put yourself together. Think big of yourself. Not in a way of being prideful, but think big of yourself. There's something you can contribute. All right? So think about it. Don't go walking around with a poverty mindset. Be rich in your mind. And the way of being rich in your mind is telling yourself, I can contribute something. Today, it might not be finance, but it could be your time. It could be you going out to help someone. It could be you just placing a call and checking up on how someone else is doing. Don't be that one that is like a sponge and want to soak in everything. Be a giver. Open your mind. Help someone. Help someone. Be that person that is available to help. And before you know it, you will begin to live the life that you're gradually building. I love this, and I'm really hopeful that people can realize that nobody, absolutely nobody owes you the responsibility to make you happy. You owe it to yourself. All right. So that's our article for today. I am really hopeful that it's touching somebody today. Someone is listening. Someone's mindset is changing from the poverty mindset to the mindset of abundance. All right. So tell somebody about the Navigating with Key channel. Let's let people come in. Let's people hear the same thing we're hearing so that together we can build a community of great minds, people who are not scared to take on the situations and the challenges of life. All right. So till I come your way again, this is Kenneth Enelja Senime, Keaki, saying, have a lovely weekend and bye bye.